Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 14 of On the Road. Yes, very exciting
14?
times.
Oof.
I know, it's ticking on.
That's so many.
I know. That's like one for every day if we had done this for 2 weeks. We've done it for way longer than 2 weeks. So, guys, this week, I know last week we said we were going to be here with Shabby, and she cannot be with us today because she is an incredibly busy lady. However, she is here in spirit, as what we're going to be talking about this week was actually her idea. And this week we're going to be discussing food, but not just any food. We are going to be discussing the strangest foods we have ever eaten on tour or outside of tour. Just the strangest foods we've eaten and the kind of foods that you may have encountered yourselves, may have never heard of, or may one day encounter potentially with the likes of us. So for those of you who may happen to be tuning in for the first time, just very quickly, today with us we have Victoria from New Zealand.
Hi.
We have Matt, or Matthew to his parents, from Australia.
G'day.
And we have the wonderful Brandon from South Africa. Yes. Okay. And so we're all here. Some of us are now out of lockdown. Some of us still in a little bit of lockdown. I'm wearing a lovely red shirt for expat. Matt is wearing a lovely green shirt. What's the green shirt for, Matt?
It was my new part-time job, BP.
And it looks very nice and green.
And I'm on my 20-minute break, so we're on time.
Yes, and it's amazing that you're dedicated 20 minutes to us. So, as Matt is on a 20-minute break, and we are keen to get rolling, we are going to dive straight into this. So, strangest foods that we have tried, and we're going to start with the wonderful Matt.
Well, yeah, really looking forward to this episode. I was actually watching a series on Netflix today about street food in Southeast Asia. I think I'm so excited to get back to that part of the world. And it's in that part of the world that I have tried my strangest food. It's a delicacy from various countries. I had it in Vietnam. It's also popular in the Philippines, so I'm sure many of our viewers are quite aware of this one. And that is the balut. For those of you who are not aware what balut is, it is a fertilized duck egg. All right, so
delicious.
That process has happened, and there's a little baby duck forming inside the egg, and I think it's at 17 days that they then cook it or do whatever they do with it. You then take it out of the shell. And it's basically.
Do you know how they cook it?
Yeah, do they boil it or?
I think it's steamed.
I've seen them.
The street food vendor.
It's been on Fear Factor, right? And it's like a fetus. It's almost ready to be born, and you can see it, right?
Well, for those of you that are a bit squeamish, we're going to get a picture up of it. So there you go. There, not much warning there for the squeamish. Only like about a half a second warning for you. But a lovely
So I haven't tasted it, and I never would. But Matt, could you eat the bones and the beak and the feathers? I've heard you.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, just down the whole lot if you want. Wow. I did it a few times. We usually just had teaspoons of like the yolky part. Like a lot of it's still quite much like an actual egg, and you can kind of eat it with a teaspoon. But I then tried to like down the whole thing, and I like had a bit of a chew. But then it went halfway down my throat, and I felt the beak.
Oh no!
It came straight back up.
Is it strange that when you described that, the image that came to mind was Jurassic Park, where they're in the lab and the little baby dinosaur comes out the egg?
Yes.
That's what came to mind. Yeah.
It was interesting. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever top that one.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, because I've spent some time in Southeast Asia, and when you're going down like the main streets, Thailand, you go to Khao San Road and that, they're all going around with like the locusts, the millipedes, the tarantulas. But then like, it's not, I don't know how some of those delicacies, or they're just gimmicks for the tourists when it comes to the insects.
The insects in Thailand. Some of it's a gimmick. I mean, the scorpions and stuff that you see, that's a gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, I totally hate it.
The smaller stuff, like the grasshoppers and stuff, apparently is legit.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so we started off pretty strong there. Was
Yeah.
and
All
so
right, well,
Brandon,
yeah, I wouldn't say
Well,
match
he's
it,
in the
but I'll
land
come
of eating
close.
everything.
So,
is there anything
actually,
Brandon hasn't
I'll
eaten?
talk.
Yeah, yeah.
No, do you know, I'm actually a bit squeamish about that stuff. I don't.
Really?
I love food, but when it's really weird, like I'm not too interested in that stuff. But we did do something cool once. So my friend and I,
Wait, before
we
you
were
go,
in, yeah,
wait, sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah, yeah,
before we leave Matt's balut egg, can I just ask, would you eat it,
yeah.
Brandon, and would you, Luke?
Oh yes.
Oh, you
I would
would,
definitely
okay.
give it a shot, but I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd enjoy it.
It's
But
apparently very good for
I'd
your
try.
virility, boys. So.
Oh, the old virility. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
It would go nowhere
I
near
feel
my
like
mouth. I just
sometimes
would
I have
not
too much
eat it.
virility. So
So, would you say, Matt, just sorry, I know, Brandon, you've got a good story in a sec, but
Yeah,
would you say
yeah.
that it was like something that some people actually enjoyed, or is it a gimmicky thing?
did you enjoy it?
Well, it's no, I did not. I could not say
Did
I
you
enjoyed
feel
it.
the virility running through your
But
muscles?
the low. I don't think I got to eat enough of it to get the full effects. I couldn't keep enough down. But the
Couldn't
locals,
keep enough
they're
down.
fully
Couldn't
into it.
keep
They are all over it.
If you ate more of it, you might have had more virility.
Oh, well, the fact that it's the fact that it often is one of those things on those programs to eat as a dare or a challenge does tell me, I guess, that it's
Yeah,
something
anything like
Yeah,
that scares
difficult
me.
to eat.
it's
But to hear it's
far
a
removed from
delicacy
Western
is,
tastes.
yeah. Yeah, anyway, sorry, Brandon, sorry. Your
No,
turn.
that's fine. I mean, let's go over to the land of strange food as well. One of my favorite places in a region I've worked in a lot is Croatia. So there they eat lots of weird things. One of the things that I've been lucky enough to try is it's something called puijada, but it's you can just call it a dormouse. That's what it is. It's a little mouse. And it's like every September they have a festival. So they have a festival in
Wait, this
there's
sounds
two
sad.
towns called Dole. Yeah, there's two towns called Dole. One is in Hvar and one is on the island of Brutch. So myself and my friend were on an island in Brutch, and we got scooters and we drove out to lots of different restaurants to find it. But what they do is they take this mouse, they skin it and put it straight in the fire. So they do kill it first, and then they skin it and
Well,
put it
just because
straight
they
in the
skin
fire.
it
So
doesn't
they
mean it's
don't.
dead. It's in loads of pain.
No, they kill it. They kill it. It's quite
Oh, with a
humane.
tiny
They
little
kill
mouse
it like
hammer.
any normal
Carry
I didn't
on,
see how
Brandon.
they killed it, but basically they take it and they put it into the fire, guts and all, and then they put it straight onto a piece of bread like a roll. And then they sandwich it between, and you don't normally put too much on it, so you wouldn't put sauces or anything. Just as it is, has all the flavor it needs, because you're getting, and the bones are soft and delicate, so it crunches down, and you can eat the whole thing.
Do they
So
take
that's a
out its
very, very.
brains and its
No, they
guts,
leave
or
everything in it.
you even
Ooh,
eat
No, they
the
leave it.
all the
guts
tasty bits.
Yeah.
and the
It's
tail?
so it kind of so when it goes onto the bread, it releases lots of oils and things onto the bread, and it's quite tasty.
Is
But
it
I
well
couldn't get around the
cooked?
texture.
Like,
I couldn't. Yeah, they cook
do
it
they
well. I mean,
really
they
cook
basically
it?
barbecue.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's
Yeah.
here's a little picture for you guys to see.
Yeah.
So it's on there now. No warning for this
Yeah,
one.
so you can
Just
see.
straight in there. And yeah, that's mad, isn't it? That is actually
It's
mad.
crazy. Yeah, you can see the whole thing's intact. Yeah.
So,
And they
Brandon,
just sandwich it and eat it. Yeah.
what meat did it taste like then? Did it taste like chicken or?
You know, yeah, you know how they say things taste like chicken. So this was kind of like that, but it had a gamey taste. It was almost like a sour taste to it.
Okay, I've eaten
But
squirrel
that was
before, and squirrel was
basically.
quite gamey, and for some reason I'm imagining it being quite like a sort of quite
Yeah,
lean.
I think I've never
Are you
eaten
allowed to
squirrel,
eat
but I think
squirrel
it's
in
quite similar.
England?
Used to like, so when I was younger, like I'm not actually the biggest meat person. At home, I usually cook vegetarian unless I'm having my brother or vegan. But when I'm in restaurants, I'll sometimes have the meat option. So I try and keep it balanced out. However, when we were younger, my dad was very much, if you're going to eat meat and we're going to eat it, you should be willing to kill it yourself as well, and have gone through that process at least a couple of times. So we used to have air rifles. And my nan had this big garden, so we would occasionally shoot wood pigeon in the garden, squirrels, and then we would always eat them afterwards, just so that we could kind of be introduced to the process of taking a life, killing it, preparing it, and then eating it, and then, fully appreciate.
And pigeons make a fabulous pie.
Yeah, they do make a vegetable, and even just roast wood pigeon is great. And so squirrels we ate a lot, and now actually only in recent years they're bringing in a law. I think this is what my brother was saying because he's more into the sort of hunting world of fishing and stuff like that. That when it comes to wood pigeons and animals that come into your garden, you now have to have a license to be able to shoot them. Whereas before,
So you can't eat a squirrel.
no, you have to have a license
Need a
to
license.
shoot them in your garden. In the past, you didn't need to. If a squirrel or like what's considered vermin, essentially like just a wild animal, a pigeon or something comes into your garden, you're allowed to shoot them. But now you have to have a license. So.
To you, they are vermin. To some people, they are lovely.
Look, to me, they're not vermin. I think they're beautiful creatures and
No, they're very beautiful. They got big fluffy
And now,
tails.
like,
That
I
makes
go and feed the squirrels in the park and play with them because I love them, and I'm not going to shoot them. However, when I was younger, it was a process to go through and one that was character building.
Yeah.
Very good. So did you like the mouse, Brandon?
No, I didn't.
You wouldn't have it
But people
again.
do, hey? People actually love them. So
Like
the hunting of
locals?
them is limited to the festivals. So to the time of the festival, so that they're not going to make them extinct.
How
But
many
the
mice do
locals
they get
like
through at a festival?
So you're not just like finding a mouse in your
Hundreds
house
and,
and then cooking it up and
no,
eating
no,
it.
no. So it's like they mainly live in trees. So they kind of burrow their way into like a tree. You know how there's like a little hole. And they go in there, so they just take the hand in and take it out. And each can, like, it's when they go in and contest, or not so much contest, but they join the festival. Each person's only allowed one.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's,
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like a big thing, and not everyone catches, and some people do, but they always barbecue them, and it's a really cool thing. But yeah, it's just interesting, and they thoroughly enjoy them.
So they have like little mice farms where they just harvest them and grow them for this purpose.
No, they don't.
They're all wild
No.
caught.
They're
Then.
wild
No,
caught.
they're all wild. They caught, and then yeah,
Very good. Very good.
Interesting.
yeah, very interesting. Eh?
Okay.
So, Victoria.
All right. So
Please, it's not going to be like
Southeast Asia?
it's not going to be another cute little beautiful animal that you're going to just completely ruin for us.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so we've been to Southeast Asia with Matt now, and then we've headed north to the Mediterranean. I'm going to take you further north. So, of course, surprise, surprise, this goes with my Northern Explorer tour.
Oh, does it now?
No way. Victoria talking about the
Really? I've never heard you mention that tour, Vic.
It is a
You run
coincidence.
any other tour, Victoria?
It is a coincidence. So my dish comes from Sweden, and it's called surströmming. As you know, the Swedish sound like this when they talk. Surströmming. So strömming is herring, and this dish. So once you finish watching this on line, whenever you're watching it, you need to go and look this up because it is hilarious. So surströmming is like the world's smelliest food. I was telling Brandon before, like the word that you
Yeah,
use
it
to
didn't sound
describe
good.
it is putrid. So basically, they get all of these herrings out of the sea, and they leave them out in the sun, and then they put them in salt, and they basically start to rot and ferment. And then they put them into barrels for about 6 months. So it's just this massive barrel of fish that's just rotting, and all of these bacteria and gas are coming out, and the barrels get really swollen. And then they get put into these tins. So the best surströmming, when you're in Sweden, if you want to try it, you'll see the tin is always like really, really swollen. And the funniest thing, this is what you need to Google, is people opening the tin, because with what I do with my guests, just to give everyone the experience, and I warn everyone, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. We open the tin, and like some people will be standing about 150 meters away from where the tin is being opened. Like, I'm not kidding.
And
you look at people's faces, and honestly, most people are gagging. Some people are actually vomiting, and the smell is like rotting eggs, rotting fish, rotting flesh. But again, it is a delicacy. So people absolutely love it. So what I've been told from Swedish people is that you're supposed to not do it this
Not
sort
the
of
sensation that food's supposed to give
entertaining
you,
way.
no?
No, but so you're supposed to open the tin underwater, and then you leave it underwater so that the smell can dissipate. And you're not supposed to eat it for another 45 minutes. But as part of the challenge, all the things
so
people
that
do
makes
online,
sense.
is you open it, you smell it, and then you taste it then and there.
Try not to throw up.
Did you
Yum.
eat it, Vic?
Yeah, how was it for you?
I see. I'm cheating a bit, really, because I actually did. I couldn't bring myself to eat it.
You haven't eaten it.
No, because like literally, I must have a very weak stomach, but it made me vomit. Like as soon as we opened it.
Have you tried it underwater?
Would you say that the smell is so intense that just having smelt it, it's kind of like you've eaten it?
Yeah, no, it is. So I did taste. I did taste a tiny bit, but I didn't eat it because it went. But like anybody who got any of the juice on them, because we had rubbish bags on to open it. If it got onto your clothes or on your face, because it's a lot of gas and pressure in there, it sort of explodes. You can smell it on your body for like 3 weeks. This is the most intense
have like casualties
smell.
of walkers by.
No, but am I making you guys? Matt, have you tried it? You must have tried it, or
like a
Swedish hand grenade. I had a young group, and I told them about it, and they decided to check it out. And a few of them went off and opened the can and tried to eat it, but they're all vomiting. So that is the general experience for people.
They did it on Hamish and Andy, anyone who knows those guys. I think they're Aussie. It's a show. But yeah, that's why I say go online afterwards, Google like people opening surströmming, and it is just really funny. But maybe that's me being a bit immature, but it is really funny. But yeah, Swedish people absolutely love it. I think a lot of Scandinavians eat it, not just the Swedes. And like I said, if you do it the proper way and leave it, it's a little bit like I think the food that you're going to talk about in a minute, Luke, in the sense that the rotting and the fermentation process gives it a really amazing depth of flavor or something, and people like go crazy for it. Anyway, do you guys want to try it now that haven't tried it?
I'm allergic.
Yeah, I mean that final description maybe made it for me.
I tried the way the locals do, like opening it underwater.
Disgusting putrid fish. I don't think that really sold me.
No, because there was one online where this guy did it in a really fancy restaurant in London, and he cooked it, and he did it the proper way. But even doing it the proper way, he had to set up a little cooking station outside the restaurant so as not to contaminate the restaurant area with the smell of the surströmming. And the guy ate it properly and cooked by a really good chef. And he's still, like, you can see footage of him. He was running to the Thames and he's like anyway, so surströmming is the weirdest and most interesting food I've ever had experience with. So I haven't really eaten it, but I have tasted it. And
I would try it. I get this thing where, like, wherever I am in the world, I just want to find the most messed up thing I can and then eat it, and like often to my own detriment, because I've had such bad food poisoning abroad before just from eating the dodgiest, roughest street food things I can find, just because I'm like, that looks insane, I have to put it in my mouth. And I've got a bit of an oral fixation anyway. I just love to put things in my mouth. And when it comes to these weird foods, like, I'm quite a sensory person. When it comes to the mouth, I love, like, when I was younger, I used to just lick random things on the street. I feel like a bit of that's still in me, so I'll just eat anything. And again, it doesn't.
Now, look, don't you have a fish allergy?
Well, I do, and so my allergies it's not super intense. It's like, for example, if I eat a bit of cod or a prawn, my chest will start to contract and I'll get a red itchy face, and it will last for about 40 minutes and I'll be deeply uncomfortable, but then it passes. And so sometimes I think to myself, that's okay, I could do that for
I don't think you guys understand.
And I instantly regret it every time.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
You could have anaphylactic shock next time because
I hate missing out.
Don't eat fish again.
Anyway,
What about
Well,
your food?
So obviously your one.
Oh, wait, don't forget to show them the picture of my food.
Don't worry, the picture's gonna be there. It was there. There was a perfect moment where you were like, "You should go online and see it," and I was like, "Insert picture here."
Oh, yay. Okay.
Obviously,
let's
that
move to
comes
your food.
later. And so, okay, you were talking about the way the fish gets left in the barrel and it ferments and it becomes essentially putrid. Well, I've got something that does something very similar, but maybe takes it even a step further, and this one really is not for the squeamish, and it's called kazumatsu, and it's a Sardinian delicacy. And I love the way that the word delicacy can like then open the door for any sort of disgusting methods of food to come in, but put the word delicacy there, suddenly it's accepted and it's beautiful and everyone's on board with it. And so this is kazumatsu is often referred to in English as maggot cheese. Yes, and it's called that because, as you may imagine, it involves maggots. Now, kazumatsu is officially the strongest cheese in the world, and this is because of the intense fermentation process that it goes through. So it is a sheep's cheese. And what happens is they go through the normal cheese making process. When they get the hard outer shell and the outside goes hard, they then cut the lid off. They open the lid, and this is about a few weeks into the process, and they encourage certain flies from around the area. I think a certain type of fruit fly maybe comes and lands on the cheese, plants its eggs. Once enough flies have laid their eggs inside the soft cheese, the lid goes back on. The eggs hatch. These small little insect larvae and maggots hatch from the eggs. And then what happens is they start to digest the cheese. And as they eat the cheese passes through their body, comes out the other end of their body. And each time it does, it ferments to a higher degree. And so what happens is you get this cheese that's constantly been cycled through the maggots. The maggots become part of the cheese becomes part of the maggots. It grows in strength to the point where some of it even turns into liquid. And I think they call it liguima, which means teardrop. And it starts to seep out of it. And then after a number of weeks of the maggots being in the cheese, they open it, and then you can eat the cheese. But some people say, okay, so what, then you take the maggots out? No, you don't take the maggots out. The live maggots you have to eat with the cheese because they are part of the cheese. The cheese is inside them. It's around them. It's very, very soft, almost liquidy in some parts. And because of this reason, obviously, there's a lot of potential for bacteria and stomach problems. And so it's actually, in a lot of countries, it's illegal to sell it. Now, I didn't try it. Yeah, and I didn't try it in actually Sardinia. I tried it in London in a restaurant in Crystal Palace. And here, they don't sell it to you. But if you go there as a group and you spend enough money, at the end, they'll bring out the kazumatsu as a treat for you to try for free. And so I had some. I'm a big fan of cheese. When they opened it, it was the strongest smell I have ever smelled from a piece. And so when you eat it, again, with a lot of strong cheeses, they often smell worse than they taste. So the smell, I put in the taste, it's still strong, but it can be a lot nicer.
What's the texture like?
And so very, very soft, very almost like a lot runnier than like a camembert. Some of it's quite runny and sticky.
So like the inside of a camembert where it's like smooth like that. Is it like
where
that?
It's really
yeah. It's like, but then again, like it changed. I'll put some pictures for you guys to see, and it comes in different levels of fermentation. So some of it is very soft, almost like a runny camembert after it's been baked. Some of it's a bit harder. Again, there are different sections of it have fermented at different stages depending on how active the maggots have been in those areas. So there are much softer areas, harder areas.
Brandon, the maggots aren't dead. They're crawling
They're
around.
alive.
No, I know.
That's
wiggling. And the maggots are clear. They're like a translucent-y, whitish color.
Do you know, but you know, when you think of a maggot, it's normally like you see it climbing out of a banana or something or whatever. But when it's in that, you know that it's been put in there and it's only lived in there. There's nothing else.
Yeah, so like it's meant to be there. Like the fact that it's meant to be. And so the taste was like, it's, imagine like a blue cheese, a really strong blue cheese, but tenfold with the texture of a camembert. And like, honestly, the taste, like it's very nice. It's got this intense tanginess to it. And it's like, it's for 3 hours afterwards, the taste was in my mouth. I was drinking limoncello. I was drinking whiskey, beers, wine. The taste was still there.
I hope you went on a date or something, Luke.
Pardon?
I hope you weren't on a
If you
date
had
or
a bit of
something.
grappa, that was.
No, I was it was my uncle's birthday many years ago. So it is really nice, but again, like you can't buy it in the UK. A lot of places in Sardinia, I think you can. It's incredibly expensive, but again, a lot of restaurants they'll bring out a
No,
sample at the end if you
I
spend
just
enough.
saw a thing too because of EU laws.
Okay.
They also have to do the same thing. They're not allowed to sell it anymore, but
Okay.
you can like do the secret code thing. Bring me the cheese at the end of the meal, and then
Yeah. So
you know,
again,
but
yeah, I think it's you
That
spend enough
doesn't sound
money
very
there.
European
No,
or
no, right.
Italian.
So again, you can also
if you have
on
the secret code,
yeah.
you could...
It's also quite common in Italy. There are some parts of Italy where they will have this cheese, and you can find it, and also in southern Corsica, it's quite common there too.
I've definitely heard about it and seen things about it on TV and looked at it, and definitely I've heard people rave about how amazing it is.
Yeah.
But again, I remember very, very distinctively an episode of like Who Dares Wins or Fear Factor or something where they gave the contestants this maggoty cheese, and I was watching it, and I've never done this before in my life, apart from with the surströmming, and it made me not just gag, but I had to go to the bathroom watching them eat. So I don't think I would be able to stomach it even if I wanted to. But
Yeah,
I'd give it a go.
I'd give it a go.
Sounds alright. Yeah,
You should. And it's like
it's like a blue vein. Just have a little bit.
well, I love
just
cheese,
a little bit. And
so,
I went back for seconds. I went in for a couple more, and it was honestly, it's an experience. And the whole, I enjoy the novelty. I mean, like, I was the kid that, like, when you were younger and your friend had pet lizard, I would eat the live locust that they feed them for $5. You know?
So do you always eat the worm out of the tequila bottle?
Yeah, I always eat the worm out of the tequila bottle. Of course, I'm the first person to be doing that.
I've had worm salt in Mexico. So sometimes they'll sell you a tequila with some worm salt. It's really cool. Or mezcal.
Worm salt. It's like worm.
So they take dried worms and chili and crush it up.
Yeah.
And you
do you
put it on your pinky and lick it, and then have a shot of mezcal normally. So it's like a tequila, but not quite.
Yeah, talking about weird foods, like, and you saying worm salt. Do you know that in Bagels and Beans in Amsterdam now, they make one of their bagels out of cricket flour? Which
That's going to be a massive
mainstream.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, I've also read something they're starting to say that, you know, insects are quite a sustainable form of protein and food.
Yeah, they are.
They're so in such abundance and so easy to cultivate. And there's I remember I was at a pizza place in Liverpool called what's it called? It's like this new funky pizza place. It's got a big picture
Express?
of it. No, obviously not Pizza Express. It's basically like it's like a hipster bar that does pizza, and it's got this guy's face in pink, all cartoony. I'll have to remember
Franco Manca?
I don't know, something like that. And so, but basically, like Crazy Louis or something, I don't know. And one of the pizzas of the week, it was cricket pizza. So they had the crickets on the pizza with like a hoisin sauce, spring onion, and chili, and it was so good. I love crunchy texture. I'm all about
quite
texture.
hard for some people to stomach, but the cricket flour.
Crazy Pedro's.
Pedro's not pizza. He's Mexican.
No, but it's called Crazy Pedro. There's one in Manchester, and I'm going to quickly find it for us. If you're ever in Liverpool,
guys, I need to go. I think
should be Crazy Pietro. Oh yeah, thanks for joining us, Matt. We really appreciate the effort. And you look fantastic in green.
Yeah, you look.
You do. You look great in green. Yeah.
Very
nice.
So I got a new green shirt.
Go sell those donuts.
All right, we'll see you next week, Matt. See you next week.
See you later, Matt.
Good night.
Take care,
And he's gone.
Bye, Matt.
Still there. Here in spirit. The Matrix has you, Matt.
And then there was 3. Yeah.
There were. Well, we've only got a few minutes left anyway.
Yeah, this is about to end.
And well, I'm excited to try all of those things you talked about. And the fact that you can actually get some of them when you're on tour is equally amazing.
Well, what we're going to do when you two come on your little training with me for the Northern Explorer together, hey, Greg.
Maybe just have an EpiPen ready for when I try it.
We're going to have a surströmming tasting party, okay? It's going to be great. I'm going to film you.
I'm going to go find that video. Yeah, you do.
All right. it's a deal. I can't wait to be in Sweden with you boys. Cannot wait.
Oh, I just can't wait to be anywhere with you guys and Matt as well.
I
He's
know.
already gone.
Yeah. So are we wrapping it up for the week, or
We
should
are,
say bye?
yes. Yeah, and also just before we go, anyone who has tried any strange foods abroad, the weirdest food you've ever had, put it in the comments. We want pictures, videos, whatever you want to share.
Pictures, anything. Yeah,
For
send it
sure.
to us.
Let us know
Yeah.
if you've tried the ones that we've mentioned, and then any that you've tried that we haven't mentioned. Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, and thanks for the bravos. Those of you
Yes.
who
We saw those.
Some dedicated viewers out there. Sorry about the weirdness that came with that.
Yeah, that's strange.
Can I just say, to weirdness, I've got this one rogue eyebrow at the moment.
What's up?
This
What's
little
our,
eyebrow that comes down here.
Yeah, I've got a few of those. It's called
weird.
age, Luke.
It's called age, yeah, I
Sorry.
know, right? So is this patch at the back of my
remember
head.
keeping the professionalism. No.
What is the word for this week then?
Oh, the word for this
We
week
had Bravo
is.
last week.
Oh,
What about fantastic?
Fantastic.
Shebang.
Let's do it.
Shebang.
No, because Bravo was Italian. Let's do another word in another language. I'm going to look.
Okay.
Any other languages?
Yes, we do. We know lots of languages. We're going to have the Swedish word.
Okay, let's do a Swedish word. This is good.
Oh, it's Bravo.
Yeah. What's Swedish for Bravo?
Bravo.
Bravo.
Just type
Bravo.
in there, Bravo in Swedish.
Yes.
Bravo in Swedish. Or Bravo to Sweden. Oh, funny.
Yeah. Okay. Should we go?
Let's go. Okay. Yeah.
Let's say tuck. Tuck means
Tuck.
thank you in Swedish.
How do you spell that, Vic?
T-A-K.
T-A-K. If you made it to the end, give us a little tuck.
T-A-K,
And we'll tuck
amazing.
you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.